In 2006, two MIT founders had a big idea. What if marketing wasn't about interrupting people, but attracting them?
You can't tell how big a company is on the internet. And so we thought the internet disproportionately benefited small businesses, startups, relative to large businesses and scale-ups. And that was our thesis.
That was the birth of inbound marketing, and it launched HubSpot into the spotlight as the friendly, SMB-focused alternative to Salesforce. But fast forward to now, HubSpot isn't just the inbound company anymore. Today, it's a $28 billion SaaS platform re-architecting itself around AI, turning raw customer data into real-time insights, automation, and decision-making. It's no longer just about blogs and email drips. It's about building the AI-powered growth engine for scaling businesses. This is the story of how HubSpot went from content playbook to category creator to one of the most ambitious AI transitions in SaaS. The idea for HubSpot came before there was even a product. Dharmesh Shah was running a startup blog. Brian Halligan, an entrepreneur in residence at a VC firm, kept watching founders burn money on cold calls and Google ads. Meanwhile, Dharmesh's blog was pulling in thousands of readers organically. No spend, no spam, just helpful content. That contrast hit Brian like a freight train. Why are businesses pushing so hard when customers would rather pull? That was the light bulb moment. They called it inbound marketing, and in 2006, they built a company around it. But they made a bet most VCs hated. They'd focus on small businesses, not enterprise. While the big players fought over the Fortune 500, HubSpot saw a blue ocean, millions of small businesses trying to grow, but drowning in complexity. Their edge? Content. Before there was a product, there were blog posts, 2 a week, plus free tools, webinars, and SEO optimized everything. By the time they launched in 2007, they already had 1,000 subscribers and ranked #1 on Google for key marketing terms. No ad spend, no sales team, just inbound. By 2009, revenue hit $6.6 million, which allowed them to raise $33 million, and they were just getting started. By 2010, HubSpot looked unstoppable. Thousands of customers, revenue climbing, a best-selling book. From the outside, everything looked golden, but under the hood, there was a problem, and it was big. Here's the thing, small businesses are easy to sign, but they're just as easy to lose. Small businesses leave. The opportunity cost for them is so much lower. They cancel, they go under, or they just stop using the product. And Sequoia Capital flagged it immediately for HubSpot. And the money HubSpot was making from existing customers was barely holding steady. If you're a software company and you're losing customers faster than you can grow, you're in big trouble. You can't scale if you're constantly trying to plug holes in a leaky bucket. And the real root of the problem, who they were selling to, small businesses churn fast and they go under and they switch tools and they stop paying, and everyone paid the same $250 a month. It didn't matter if you had 100 contacts or 100,000. The price was too much for small customers and it was too little for the bigger ones. Dharmesh admitted it later. We literally pulled that price out of a hat. So in 2011, they made a bold move. 2-axis pricing. 1 axis for features, 1 for contacts. As your business grew, so did your price, aligned with the value you were getting. It worked. Net revenue retention climbed, upsells kicked in, and churn, it stopped dragging them down, and their retention started powering them forward. By 2012, HubSpot hit $50 million in annual revenue. They were out of the churn hole and into hypergrowth. But their biggest pivot? That was still coming. By 2013, HubSpot had inbound marketing on lock, but they saw the ceiling. Marketing software was just one piece of the customer journey. If they wanted to play the long term, they had to own the core system, the CRM. The problem was, Salesforce already owned that world. Biggest name, deep pockets, massive install base. So what did HubSpot do? They went full David versus Goliath. Quietly, they started building their own CRM. Not a free trial, not a freemium, free forever. They tested the waters with a stealth tool called Sidekick, a Chrome extension that tracked email opens, and it blew up. And that was just the appetizer. Then in 2014, at their inbound conference, they dropped the bomb. HubSpot CRM was live and it was free forever. Why? Because they knew if you own the database, you own the future. It was classic disruption. Start simple, start free, get embedded, then upsell later. And it worked. 10,000 plus existing customers got access overnight. Some upgraded to Sales Hub. And just like that, HubSpot stopped being a tool. It became a platform. And right after that, they went public. October 2014, IPO on the New York Stock Exchange. 115 million in revenue, 800 million valuation. And yeah, they turned down $1 billion buyout offer from Salesforce just the year before. They weren't building to flip, they were building to win. After the IPO, one big question loomed. Could HubSpot evolve from a single product into a real platform? The answer? Yes, but not without some bruises. First came the cultural gut punch. In 2015, a firestorm erupted inside HubSpot's leadership ranks. A former employee, Dan Lyons, a journalist, had written a tell-all memoir about his time at the company, and some of HubSpot's top execs were desperate to stop it from seeing the light of day. Not just desperate, reckless. According to FBI records, people still unnamed allegedly tried to hack emails and extort colleagues to get an early copy of the manuscript. The whole thing blew up. The CMO, Mike Volpe, was fired for cause, and another exec resigned before they could do the same to him. Even CEO Brian Halligan wasn't spared. He was sanctioned for not acting fast enough. It looked like a moment that could crater the company. A tech darling, now tangled in accusations of manipulation and cover-up. But then something surprising happened. HubSpot didn't deflect or spin it. They owned it. They launched an internal investigation, turned the results over to the FBI, cleaned house, and most importantly, they used the crisis as a gut check. Instead of hiding, they leaned harder into what they always said they stood for. Transparency, accountability, culture as a competitive edge. They recommitted to their culture code, not as PR fluff, but as a blueprint to rebuild trust. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And that honesty helped them survive a moment that would have sunk a lesser company. The trial by fire passed, and they got back to work. And from 2016 to 2019, they hit turbo. Service Hub launched. CMS Hub followed immediately. Then they acquired Kimvi, Motion AI, and PieSync. And by 2019, HubSpot had 5 major updates: marketing, sales, service, CMS, and operations. All connected, all built on the same CRM spine. One system, one login, one customer view. And it worked. Revenue jumped from 270 million in 2016 to 674 million by 2019. Customers passed 50,000. They turned cash flow positive, and they weren't just serving SMBs anymore. They were landing mid-market deals, pushing into light enterprise, and finally stepping into the role of a true SaaS platform. HubSpot wasn't just the inbound guys anymore. They were building a full-on operating system for growth. Then, 2020. The pandemic scrambled everything. But for HubSpot, it accelerated everything. Suddenly, every business had to go digital. HubSpot was already there, remote ready, cloud native, and built for the moment. They hit pause on ad spend, offered relief to struggling customers, and it paid off. By 2021, revenue shot past $1.3 billion, up 47%. But the bigger shift, leadership. That same year, Brian Halligan stepped down after a snowmobile accident. He handed the reins over to Yamini Rangan, a SaaS veteran from Dropbox and Workday, and already HubSpot's chief customer officer. She brought a new mantra: durable growth. Not just fast, not just flashy, but sustainable, platform-driven, customer-obsessed. Under Yamini's leadership, HubSpot made 3 major bets. First, product-led growth at scale. The free CRM became a machine. 70% plus of customers came in through self-serve. They built a product-qualified lead engine that monitored usage, spotted intent, and triggered sales reach at exactly the right moment. Second, media plus community as moats. In 2021, they acquired The Hustle, a business newsletter with 1.5 million subscribers. Not a software move, a media move. Because if they owned the conversation, they could own the customer. Third, HubSpot started infusing AI across the entire platform.
Most recently, it has released like a content hub, which is like AI infusion everywhere.
AI-assisted writing, predictive lead scoring, workflow recommendations, smart reporting, and insights. No gimmicks, no vaporware, real features that made the platform faster, smarter, and more useful. So by 2024, revenue hit almost $3 billion, and paying customers surged to 247,000. They also achieved GAAP profitability for the first time, and the company was valued at $28 billion with a global team of over 7,000 employees. The inbound revolution, it scaled. HubSpot isn't just a marketing tool anymore, it's a platform. It's a movement, a blueprint for how SaaS companies can stay relevant in an AI-first world. So what can we learn from HubSpot's wild ride? Let's start with lesson number 1. Don't just build a product, create a category. HubSpot didn't just sell marketing software, they created inbound marketing, an entirely new way of thinking about growth. They turned a tactical approach into a powerful, shareable philosophy. So the takeaways of lesson number 1 are: name the category early, define a new approach clearly so the market can easily grasp it, invest in education, and enable your evangelists. Lesson number 2 is use SMBs for early traction, then move up market for scale. HubSpot started by targeting SMBs, a quick, underserved market ripe for validation. But long-term durability required moving upstream. Small businesses provide rapid feedback, quick wins, and credibility, but scaling sustainably meant embracing the mid-market and enterprise. So the takeaways are: start with an underserved niche, don't get stuck in the SMB trap, and adjust your go-to-market accordingly. Lesson number 3 is give massive value. HubSpot launched a completely free CRM, not just as a gimmick, but as a strategic growth wedge. They didn't monetize too early. They created deep user dependency first, then built paid layers that users naturally grew into. So make sure you identify your wedge product, maximize adoption first, and then align monetization with user success. Lesson number 4 is pricing should scale with value, not just access. HubSpot's original pricing was arbitrary and static. Changing to value-based pricing where costs scaled naturally with customer success, contacts, usage, features, it unlocked exponential growth. It aligned HubSpot's incentives perfectly with their customers, and the result was expansion. The takeaways from lesson 4 are: tie pricing directly to customer outcomes, simplify upgrades, and regularly revisit pricing to ensure that it aligns to customer value. Lesson number 5 is operationalize culture as a competitive advantage. When HubSpot faced an internal crisis, their deeply embedded cultural principles, transparency, accountability, and humility, that guided their recovery. Their culture wasn't just aspirational, it was operationalized, helping them rebuild trust internally and externally. And so the takeaways are: make culture tangible, lead authentically through crisis, and make sure your culture has guardrails. The last lesson is bet on durable growth, not just fast growth. HubSpot rejected quick wins like Salesforce's billion-dollar buyout offer and committed to sustainable, platform-oriented growth. They prioritized becoming cash flow positive, profitable, and robust enough to withstand market downturns and leadership transitions. So the takeaways are: balance growth with profitability, build resilience into your model, and focus on customer lifetime value. In conclusion, AI isn't just a feature, it's the next platform shift. And HubSpot knows it. But here's the key. To win this next chapter, HubSpot can't just use AI. They have to own how it shows up in the customer journey. If the last 2 decades were about inbound marketing, the next decade is about intelligent growth. Tools that not only attract and convert, but learn and adapt in real time. The companies that win won't be the ones with the most features. They'll be the ones that make AI invisible, integrated, and impossible to outgrow. HubSpot's already rewritten the SaaS playbook once. Now they're trying to do it again with AI at the center. And if they get it right, inbound won't just be about how customers find you. It'll be about how your product finds answers before you even ask.